The City Council to order. If everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alrighty. Alrighty, Linda, roll call.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Mercado.
Here.
Councilmember Rife. Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you very much. Any reordering of the agenda tonight?
No, ma'am.
Ready? And we move on to public comments. This is for anybody who wishes to speak on any subject. You've got 3 minutes, whether it's an agenda item or not. I have 2 speaker slips, so first I'm going to call Carol Rosa.
Good evening, my name is Carol Gross, and I've been a resident of Buellton for 5 years. Even if I don't see you often, I keep an eye on what you're doing. I've been a little bit distressed lately at a couple things in this past year when there have been very key pieces of legislation that the council assessed, made a decision, and then there was more input from the public and brought it back to reconsider. And I'm kind of concerned at seeing that happen. To me, that points to a problem. Don't know whether the problem is not getting enough public input in the front end. Don't know if more information is needed from staff. But somehow I think it's a bad precedent for the public to see that the council makes a decision, but then it's not decisive because you're going to have another bite at the apple. As well as the fact that this burns up time, staff reports, meeting time, and all of that is money. All of that is costing the city money. So I am asking that you maybe look into process. I'm not so much talking content as process, and saying, how can we do a better job? Are these issues where we need to have more public meetings on the front end? More ways when we as council members get out and communicate with the public before we make a decision? Or more information from staff, getting all the questions answered ahead of time. Because I think when the public sees that, oh, gee, if we don't like a decision, we can come make a lot of noise and they'll change their mind. Doesn't work with kids, and it doesn't work with the population as a whole. So what I would want to see is that you look at that process. And the other part of it is, if your decision changes when a number of people come and complain, then that says to me, gee, you're making a decision depending on who comes in front of you, not depending on what's best for the city as the whole, for the community as a whole. And I'd rather see decisions made for the whole community, not just the people that come and talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carol has a lot of experience on city councils and as a mayor, so thank you very much for your input. Next speaker is Richard Kuzmich. Step on up, sir.
Hi, my name is Richard Kuzmich. My question just was, from the last election, there was talk about a 5- and 10-year plan, and I was wondering if that ever came to be, or and I was talking to the city manager, and he said, well, we can discuss it. But like I said, if there is a 5-year plan, and you know, how did they look at that? And
I can address that. That's
Certainly.
The capital improvement plan, the 5-year plan that we put into the budget.
And you could set up an appointment with our public works director, Rose Hess. She has everything laid out as to 5-year, 25-year. 25-year, do we go out that far?
No, I think it's 10 to 20. I apologize. It's about 10 to 20 is the general time frame, but 5 years is what we focus in on.
Okay. Yeah, because even where we live in Ranch Club Estates, the mobile home park, Industrial Way seems to be getting busier and busier, and at times noisier and noisier. So, you know, it's right next to a residential area. So I was wondering how big and expanded that will get.
All righty.
Okay.
Yeah, Rose can help you. Thank you very much. Any other public comments? Moving on to the consent calendar, we have quite a few items. Item 1, the minutes of August 24th, 2017 regular City Council meeting. Item 2, list of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2017-18. 3 is the monthly activity report, the enterprise funds through August 31, 2017. Item number 4, revenue and expenditure reports for June 30th, 2017. 5 revenue and expenditure reports through August 31, 2017. Agenda item 6, financial report for fourth quarter ending June 30th, 2017. And agenda item 7, the quarterly report for April 1, 2017 through June 30, 2017 from Visit San Ynez Valley or Visit SYV. I would need a motion to approve them all. I'd like to pull agenda item 6 though, myself.
Madam Mayor, I would move for approval of items 1 through 5 and 7.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay, Linda?
Okay, Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye, thank you. I just had a couple of questions. On page 43, where we're looking at top 5 revenues for the quarterly financial report, fourth quarter ending June 30th, 2017. Everything looks really good except other revenues. The budget was for $1,034,037, and the actual was only $416,555.13, only 40% of what we were expecting. And when you go through and you explained what each of the revenues was, there was nothing on the other revenues. So I was curious why we took a hit in other revenues.
That's actually a good thing. Other revenues I found is transfer from reserves for capital improvement projects. So since we were over in sales tax and property tax and I believe franchise just a little bit, we were able to cover our expenses, which is the operating revenue.
So we don't want to see an increase in other revenues.
No, not really. And then the other, there's like small fees, like for example, rec center charges and other small stuff that comes through the city. But the majority of that was transfer from reserves.
Thank you very much.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
And then on page 45, I know it's a little thing, but we're talking about expenditures and again, ending June 30th, the small, what was it? We've got an overage on our supplies and materials, not by much, but just something that we need to look out for. And besides that, I move to approve agenda item number 6.
I'll second.
Thank you. Linda?
Mayor Sierra.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
And Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
All righty. Any presentations tonight?
No, ma'am.
Any public hearings tonight?
No, ma'am.
City member comments, items?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I don't think it's future agenda, but it's just, it'd be for a future agenda item. Is
Okay.
that where this is?
the
Okay,
place.
just wanted to
This
make
is the place.
The status on the lighting for Industrial Way, if,
I believe that's on the next agenda.
okay,
It'll be coming up in the next or the following agenda item.
Yes.
We're waiting on information from PG&E, so until we can get that, we
well,
can't
we had had
report.
quite a conversation, then it went away, and that was the deal. Then there've been concerns because the street sweeper is coming. We've had a little conversation about it. Again, the suggestion of perhaps designating one side of the street, and then another side the next time he swept so that people could move their vehicle, because there's so many, we're not getting any curb sweeping because people are not moving. We talked about enacting, having signs, not, I think it was 4 in the morning till 8 or something, but I don't think we've done anything. That was going to see if that's coming to us again.
We were not planning on it. I don't think we've received a council consensus on that. We're looking at a RFP process for the street sweeper, but not anything further.
Well, that'd probably be the time to address their proposal, because I guess some communities it's worked better.
But if we do, and again, we'd address it. If we did signs, there would have to be signs put up all over town.
I agree.
How many days does it take? Don't they do it all in one day?
There are 2 days.
It's one day that they do the entire town.
Oh, I thought they did one part of the town.
No.
It's Mondays, right?
Correct.
Is it Wednesdays?
Second and fourth
Wednesdays.
Mondays.
Second and fourth Monday.
Mondays.
Okay.
Mark, when is that RFP for this sweeper?
When will it be? I don't have a time frame.
My goal is to get it out in October.
The feedback that I hear.
Because I talked to someone who's up there.
Okay. Any other comments or items that you want to bring forward?
Just one. We had 2 more meetings for the water ad hoc meeting, and I think they all went very well. I think people who we discussed items with realize the seriousness of our predicament here for our wastewater treatment and so forth. So I know Rose is compiling what we discussed at the meeting to be presented to us here later on in October, I think. Right, Mark?
That is correct.
So, but it was attended, and everybody had good comments. So.
Good. The only one who hasn't made it has been Mr. Loudon now.
That is correct. We've invited, and he has not shown up. Even Steve Licken could not get him to
The laundry guy.
Do you want to say anything about Sacramento?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say that the 3 of us from the City Council went up to Sacramento for League of Cities. There were quite a few good classes that we attended. Holly and I actually attended a couple of them ourselves, and I think that I learned some new things there, and I think it was well worth our time.
Yeah. It's amazing how communities use their library. That was one of the better classes for me.
You know, one of the things I brought, I forgot to mention it though, would like to compliment Exceltra.
Excelta?
Exceltra has a Excelta, thank you. No R in there. 60 years of business, handcrafting, a family business. The daughter is active in it, Lynn Bonzer. They're on
Easy.
They're on Easy Street. They have a great, very quiet operation. We never get noise complaints. But they're highly successful with the manufacturing of tools, operating
Tools and medical supplies.
medical
Yeah.
supplies.
Tools.
Tremendous growth. So we're really lucky to have them, and happy they're successful and they're going forward.
Terrific.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to bring up that Monday we're having a ribbon cutting. Is it this Monday?
That is correct.
At noon?
At noon.
At Avenue of Flags and Highway 246 to commemorate the new walkway that's finally done. Yay, all of our people can walk down the street without having to go into dips and gullies, and Lou Adkins will be honored at the cutting for pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and made it happen.
And he'll dedicate his little plaques that he has
We've
on
got
on
plaques
each
for
end.
him, yeah. So that's cool. All right, moving on. Written communications,
No, ma'am.
committee reports. I know you have one, Vice Mayor.
I think I had 2.
Ah.
I attended SBCAG for you.
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Last week. And they you didn't make any major changes in your absence. And I have the folder. I guess I didn't have the folder here, but I represent Buellton, and I don't think we have any. You maybe are aware of statistical stuff. I apologize. I thought I had that folder with me. That was SBCAG. The second second committee report is Central Coast Water Authority met today at on Industrial Way. The biggest thing is one of our agenda items, I think it's item 10. We're syncing up with that, with the re-identifying the bylaws, making changes to our contract. There was a presentation about the twin tunnels, what it would be, where it is. It was pretty involved. I think they would share the PowerPoint with anybody if you're interested about the upcoming twin tunnels. Ray has sent cost estimates to each agency a couple of months ago, so we'll be up to date on what they're talking about. The Delta Conveyance Design and Construction is turning into, they're going to change it to a JP, a Joint Powers Authority. That's the same as CCWA is. I think those are the only, everything's moving right along. Allocation is 85%, so we're not having any water. Oh, and the Colonial Pass, that's where the doesn't affect anybody, other than just knowing that it's going to close from October 27th to November 30th. Excuse me, for annual maintenance. But yeah, October 27th reopen, November 20th, not 30th, for annual maintenance. They're doing some coating, just general housekeeping. If you have never been there, they've tried to. I suggested we perhaps offer a time for tour, and he said they've done it before. They would, if there was an interest, they would be happy to do it again. It's a full day. It's a couple of hours to get there and to get back, but it's very. I think you get a fine appreciation of all how they handle the quality of water that we receive. So.
Nice. Okay.
Mayor, if I could ask you a question.
Certainly.
What's the number they threw out for those tunnels? I mean, kind of
the cost, or
yeah.
Well,
they give you an overall cost for that.
Well, they're talking about the high cost estimate is $16.7 billion. The low is $14.3 billion. That would that would take them up to 2033. I think they were talking about going up to that one. They're very big numbers, but it's we're prorated. That's the good news. We're at 2.31%. So whatever, when you see a number, that's for the whole program for the state. That's not just CCW. It's the water system that the governor wants to.
Water's gold.
The two goals are to protect against the salt intrusion in the water. If the salt gets in the Delta water, then they have no drinking water. So that allows them to separate it, and then it also gives two directions for flow. They can continue down the aqueduct, and they've said there are agencies that said we don't want to participate, so they'll receive their water in the aqueduct, through the aqueduct, and the others will be coming from the twin tunnels, the participants.
Okay.
And there'll be more public hearings. I'll
yeah, let me know.
let you know.
I met at C3H today, the Central Coast Collaborative on Homelessness, and our director, Chuck Flax, is joining PATH, a Santa Barbara Foundation, and we are looking at reorganizing C3H and joining into a Home for Good program. It's an LA-based program that United Way is a big part of, and it looks like it's going to be very positive for helping Santa Barbara County with its homeless problem. So that's it. Okay. Anything else? Moving on then to agenda item number 8. Mark?
1 second. This is a presentation from Scott Corey of the
Yes.
high school district. I will turn it over to him.
Nice to see you.
Good evening, everybody. Council members, Vice Mayor Edrick, and Mayor Sierra. Thanks for having me very much. And I owe Mr. Bazinski an apology. I misunderstood the requirements for the tech stuff, so I don't have pictures, which are always nice. So you get to hear words this evening. So this is actually a follow-up, and I'm going around what I call Measure K2, a community follow-up on how we are doing with our bond measure program. If you know, last November we were successful in passing a facilities bond with the community, first time since the early 1990s, and so we felt very fortunate to have the support of the community. And so one of the things I'm trying to do is provide a follow-up for a little accountability with the community. And so the voters approved $14.7 million. The first round of bonds we issued back in last spring, and some construction actually got underway this summer. So we started with our admin building, which had suffered significant water damage, believe it or not, with the rains. We thought we'd suffer that. We had some issues there, and even some mold issues, and so they weren't occupying the building. So we got going with that. So a windows and roof replacement on that building. And so I want to share with you, particularly as a municipality, a few things that we did to try to be sensitive to the voters that a lot of folks don't know about. The first was that we put our bonds on 15-year terms instead of 30. We have 2 issuances. As a result of doing so, we saved over 14, almost the amount of the bond issuances by going on 15-year terms instead of 30. That was something that was really well received. We also went before Standard & Poor's and made a case for an increased bond rating. We were a AA with Standard & Poor's, and we were able to, and we were right downtown San Francisco to the financial district, feeling as inadequate as all get out. Went up to the 26th floor and overlooking the Oakland Bay Bridge, and actually made a case to increase our rating to a AA+. And if you know anything about Standard & Poor's ratings, the highest you can have is a AAA. So they did a couple things for us, actually. One, we were able to get buyers with that increased rating, and our fiscal solvency demonstrated in that way. We were actually able to have more people bid on our bonds, which lowered the rate overall for taxpayers. So we were glad that we were able to do that. We also sold, put up for sale some of our bonds locally through a clearinghouse, through different financial advisors. We actually had a lot of local inquiries, because being a solid solid financial place, that actually put us in a position where people were very interested for conservative investments to buy our bonds. And so we kind of dipped our toes into the water with that first go around. We have another issuance coming up next year, and we're going to try to make even more of a pointed issue to sell those locally. So a couple things that we did to try and do something for the taxpayers before we even started with our construction. 3 things that we're trying to do with our high school facility improvements. We're actually a district, by the way, if you didn't know, San Ynez High School, but also Refugio High School, which is a continuation or alternative ed site. We have three things that we want to do. One, we want to make sure that we complete all of our Measure K projects. Talk a little bit more about that in just a minute and how challenging that can be, particularly now with all the school construction happening statewide. Complete all of our ancillary projects. How do we engage in things that weren't on the list, but we still want to make facility-wide improvements? And how do we sustain those improvements? How do we set up the finances to be able to make that happen? Shame on us if all we do is take the taxpayers' money, just make the improvements, and then don't follow up with a plan for both preventative maintenance to get maximum life out of all of our stuff. Then what do we do when we hit the end of that? Excuse me just a second here. It's not going very well. So I want to talk a little bit about, really I'm standing before you as a community partner, in that all of the Valley communities benefit from the high school. We are the Valley's largest community center. And I don't know if you know it, but on average every year we have over 30 different outside organizations that use our facilities, which is exactly what we want to be doing. They're used 6 and sometimes 7 days a week. Matter of fact, if you've ever driven by there on a Saturday, I know I've panicked. There were so many cars in the parking lot, I thought maybe I missed a school day. But between the Y and the various youth organizations, we have the only indoor theater. We have the 2 gyms. We have the only football field. They are used 6 days a week solid, but 7 days a week as well. So we really have an opportunity to partner with Buellton Parks and Rec, Solving Parks and Rec, to use our facilities to benefit all kids. And so as we look at our facility improvements, we're keeping the community in mind. And it's a great position to be in. We want to continue to be that in the future and even expand the use of those facilities. So one of the other things that we're doing as well, and is incumbent upon us, I think, is we are in pursuit of additional funding. One of the things that we calculated for when we were looking at the cost to do our projects, we included a 5% escalation cost over the course of a couple of years. With all the school construction that's out there, is out there. Prop 51 passed. It was a $9 billion K through 14 facilities, state facilities bond measure. In addition, a lot of other local school district bonds passed statewide. There's a ton of work out there. Escalation costs are 10% right now. So if we want to finish all of those things, we're going to have some additional funding. So we've been working really hard on 3 different applications to submit for those Prop 51 funds. We have between $7 and $8 million in eligibility. Just submitted one application for 6.6 to make sure that we get all of those major K projects done and those other 2 goals that I was talking about in terms of the ancillary projects and then sustaining those facilities. So we're going really hard after all of those. I had some wonderful pictures in here for you of the different things that we've been doing on campus. In addition to the roof and the windows, we also began with some of our underground utilities work that had to happen. Water, sewer, and natural gas. We were actually red tagged this summer and actually unearthed. We tried to shut down to that particular part of the campus and actually unearthed a shut-off valve that looked like something off a Spanish galleon that was at the bottom of the sea for 300 years or something like that. Anyway, so a lot of work to be done there. We have over 3,900 linear feet of water and sewer that need to be replaced. So the next 2 summers in particular, we're planning for those right now. The brakes will be completely off and we'll be getting after that. A lot of what we have to do has to happen during the summer, just because it's so invasive. You're shutting off water or firing communications, those kinds of things. But we're actually looking forward to that. It's exactly where we want it to be. And just for fun, some of the other things that you may not know that we did this summer, if you drove by there at all, perhaps the biggest visual thing that we did was the termite tinting of all buildings on campus. You saw the blue and white tarps. Some thought it was a fundraiser with a circus and those kinds of things, but it required just about every tarp in Santa Barbara County to make that happen. But we had some significant issues there that we needed to take care of, so we did. But we got the most comments on that, believe it or not. One of the things that we installed this summer, and again, there's a community benefit to this as well. We'll talk more about our partnership with Allen Hancock in just a minute. We had a state-of-the-art spray booth for auto painting. We have a certified auto shop teacher that can do body work, and between some outside 2 different sources of outside funding, one of them coming from the Valley Youth Rec. There was over $100,000 worth of work that was done, and the booth is actually installed, and we're going to start some of that work both with our own students, Los Paredos Boys Club, and also some Hancock classes down the road, so there'll be a community benefit as well. But it is state of the art. It's just really something. I'd like for them to do some work on my truck, actually. It's that nice. If you didn't hear about the tennis court lighting at the high school, really a great community story. For years they've been trying to get lights on those courts so there can be nighttime play for both community members, but also for our kids once you get later in the season and playoffs and all that. You can't play into the evening. So in a partnership between Tennis Boosters, the high school district, 2 local businesses played a huge role in that. Just LED and then Erickson Electric. Without them, we would not have got that job completed. It was a $79,000 project that we finished for well under that. Coin operated, 50 cents get you 20 minutes, lights up 2 courts, and we're getting a lot of use out of that. So that's really been a neat thing. So huge community benefit. So that was really something. The other thing that you may not know is that we've been increasing our partnership with Allen Hancock College, which, by the way, under the direction of their new president, Kevin Walters, have been outstanding. We've been offering more and more concurrent enrollment courses in which students can receive both high school credit for graduation, but also college credit as well. So that whole idea of the kids that are successful with college courses are more likely to go to college, more likely to get a degree, and so we're increasing those dramatically. Kind of the next step was to move their Solving Center onto the high school campus, and so we are now the San Ynez Valley Community Center for Allen Hancock College, and that's a partnership we look to grow tremendously as well. So we have adults on campus, which we're working through all those pieces, inviting other adults onto campus with high school kids. But I think the benefit ultimately for everybody is really going to be something, and we look for that role to actually expand. So we are now everything education for 9 through grades 14 plus adult ed in the Valley. So that's really been something. The last thing that I want to bring you up to speed on is I've had a lot of questions about our community pool update and how are we doing with that. As you know, there were funds raised, and the San Ynez Valley Community Aquatics Foundation, a nonprofit that was formed just for the purpose of both getting not just the pool in the ground, but providing high quality programming, not just for high school kids, but for our community. They now own the shell for the Rio Olympics Trials pool, which is a 50-meter pool along with a 25-yard, 5-lane warm-up pool. And the ultimate goal for all of that is to have all around 24-hour, not 24-hour, but all-day use for both community members and for high school students with the 2 pools, including other partnerships for therapeutic use, and all kinds of the possibilities really are endless. And so I actually want to introduce the executive director for the San Ynez Valley Community Aquatics Foundation. He's our own local Olympic swimmer. So I just wanted to introduce Gary Hall Jr. If you haven't had a chance to meet him yet, he really is the guy that's going to be driving all of this, and also with his connections both nationally and internationally, it's really going to open up a whole world of options for us in terms of what we can do, again, not just for our kids, not just for our community, but also hosting national level events here in the Valley. And so there's a lot to come with that. I would invite you to visit the website, syvcaf.org, for more information about that. You can also get a hold of Gary as well, Gary Hall Jr. at me.com, if you're interested in getting in touch with him. But certainly the website will have, again, at syvcaf.org, lots of information about where we're going with that pool. So we're intensively fundraising right now for all of that, and we hope to dovetail all of our facility improvement projects with the pool all at the same time. And we anticipate being completed with our facility improvements by the 2019-2020 school year. That's what we're shooting for. So we're hoping to have that pool on the ground in a couple of years. There's a lot of things, the hoops that we have to go through with the state to get that approved, architectural engineering and approval from all different kinds of state organizations. You all know about that sort of thing very well. But that would be a tremendous capstone on all the things that we're doing for everybody in the Valley. So the benefits for kids 2 years old and 92 are just tremendous. So that's where we are. A little bit of an update. Any questions? Ed, please.
Scott, how many lanes on the 50 meter?
That's a great question for him.
8 lanes.
8?
8 lanes.
Okay. And then
the smaller will be a 4-foot deep warm water pool for physical therapy and learn to swim, and that'll be 5 lanes.
And there was a rendering in the paper where they showed, will they be right next to each other, or are they going to be significantly apart of the campus?
Yes, they will be off of Refugio, so public access without going on the campus. Okay. And but yes, the pools will be close to each other.
And then are they removing the existing one, or is it going to be?
Yes. Yes, the existing one is in terrible shape.
No, it's not going to be in that spot.
It will overlap the existing footprint of where the current pool is.
So it'll be encompassing.
So I will send I'll send them to Mark a PDF of my presentation and show you where a beautiful picture. You can see it right now.
The newspaper article was great when they were announcing that you secured it, but.
Yes, and I'd just like to add a thank you. The City of Buellton was an early supporter of our efforts, and that appreciation continues on today as we continue to make progress. That website address is syvaquatics.org. Yes. So you can find out. Correct. syvaquatics.org.
Well, a lot of us were at the christening, the blessing at the mission for it. That was really, really cool. Is there any way, any chance that you're working to try to maybe tie this into the LA Olympics?
Yes. In fact, the LA LA84 Foundation, which was the surplus from the 84 Olympics, very involved in LA's bid to host the 2028 Olympic Games. The CEO, Renata Simrel, has come up and toured our facility, and that we have embedded in our fundraising efforts a commitment of $250,000 from the LA84 Foundation.
Wow.
They have just received significant funding to support youth programming, so we'll be trying to chase that down as well.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
And I would like to publicly apologize to you for not getting back to you when I spaced out on that. Sorry.
It's okay. This is
I
an
am
ongoing
contacting.
effort. We'll follow up anytime.
I know that our schools are in good hands, and I truly do appreciate all of the caution, the way you're taking care of the finances for not just Buellton, but for the Valley. And I've got total confidence. Thank you very much.
Very much. Thanks for the opportunity to talk.
Thank you.
And Corey, I'd like to personally commend you for your due diligence on saving that money through that bonds. I mean, you know, some people in the public trust seem to think that it's like monopoly money, but it has a personal effect on people.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
My first tough customer was my dad. I grew up in the Valley. He still lived in the same house I grew up in. And before we even started thinking about it, I said, hey, it's fun. You know where we're going. We're talking about that over dinner. And he started grilling me. He's 78, fixed income. You know, I said, geez, Dad, no family mercy here. He says, I'm just getting you ready for what you're going to start going public with that.
Right.
Try to take that seriously for those people that are on fixed incomes and being the best stewards that we can of that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Good
Thank
job.
you very much. Thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item number 9, consideration of appointment to the Planning Commission. Mr. Beardzinski.
Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, we extended the period for the remaining Planning Commission seat that would expire in December 2018. We received no new applications, but received 2 applications from prior applicants, Michael Pointer and Marcelo Sarquia. However, Michael Pointer contacted me late this afternoon and is withdrawn from consideration. So he is no longer, and that's why he's not in the audience today. But Mr. Sarquia is in the audience, and we want the council to interview and hopefully make an appointment.
Terrific. Marcelo, why don't you step up? I got a former planning commissioner on the dais here, and man, we're going to just grill you now. I do. Before we start, I want to thank you for your continued perseverance.
Thank you.
Any questions from Marcelo?
I'll wait to hear you. Oh, well, I've been in Buellton here for 20 years or more. I remember when Avenue of the Flags and 246 was 2 stop signs, and my wife would stop at one and go through the other. And we prayed at that time that we'd have an evolution and get the stoplights and Avenue of the Flags and 246 would grow and be more like it is today. And I know we have more plans to evolve, and not just Avenue of the Flags, 246, but our whole town. And I want to be part of that process. I spent almost 20 years at the Buellton Unified School, and we've done a great job there. And thank God that the Planning Commission is a appointed commission position, so I won't have to give up school board to do the other, and I look forward to doing both. So.
Good. Besides Avenue of Flags, what other areas are you interested in? How do you vision Buellton looking? You've been here since there were 2 stop signs on Avenue of Flags. Where do you see Buellton in 10 years?
In 10 years? Well, the area over there around Ellen's, I see that developing. And like a lot of the people in the town, worry a little bit about parking. You know, so I want to see as things evolve and grow that we also have enough parking for these facilities. I've read the 5-year plan. I'll have to brush up on it again. But I've read all our documentation on where we want to go. Not the 20-year plan, but at least the 5-year plan. And yeah, I agree with you. I want to keep it a small town, but organized. So we're a little bit set up oddly with the 246 and the Avenue of the Flags, but if we keep looking at it and studying it, we can make it work and deal with what we can. So.
Yeah, we have a boundary that we can't grow out of, that we've got to stay within, and it's getting harder and harder with growth when you've got residences and businesses that are partnering with each other, right bumper to bumper with each other, how to make it work for everybody. So.
Right. So we have some hard decisions, but we've got enough people to want the right thing for Buellton and get it done.
Okay.
Why do you think people want you to run for planning commission?
Why do we think people want me to run?
Why do you think people want you to run personally?
Oh, well, like you said, I've done a great job over at the school, watching our finances, building our second school, partnering with the city, building a gym and the rec center together with it. So we want things better for our kids. We want better things for our families, and that's what I'm all about. So.
Good, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
No, okay.
Do I hear a motion?
I would like to nominate Marcelo Sarkia for Planning Commission.
I'll second.
Oh, okay.
Can we do an all in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, welcome.
Thank you.
And but your services are needed in a week.
Actually, we canceled the one.
Did you cancel the
So it'll give you time. Claire will contact you and come in. We can give you the packet of planning commission stuff, and
You'll get
we'll go from there.
The 3 big boxes of reading material to catch up on.
Only 3 now?
Only 3? Okay, I thought you cut it down. Congratulations, Marcelo. Moving on to business item number 10, resolution number 17-18, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, approving the First Amendment of the Water Supply Agreement between the City of Buellton and Central Coast Water Authority, the CCWA, and approving the First Amendment of the Joint Exercise of Powers Agreement creating CCWA. Mr. McEwen.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this item is to complete a shift of financial responsibility under the state water contract from the County Flood Control District to the CCWA. And this is something that the CCWA has been trying to do since it was formed in 1991. So for over 26 years, this has been an objective. So we get our state water under a contract that was signed in 1963 between the State Department of Water Resources and the County Flood Control District. And it was always a little bit odd that the County Flood Control District was involved because they're not really into, it's not really one of their main functions to get water, to distribute water. So, and then on top of that, one of the historical challenges was securing funding and financing for the construction of water-related infrastructure, and there were a couple of bond measures that were defeated that made that difficult. So in order to address that, in 1991, the CCWA was formed. The Buellton Community Services District was an original member, and when we incorporated, we took over those obligations. There was an agreement between the CCWA and the County Flood Control District to transfer all of its obligations under the water contract to the CCWA, but the State Department of Water Resources objected because they wanted the County Flood Control District to be a guarantor, to remain as a guarantor in the event of a default by any one of the members, because at the time the interpretation was that the county had the taxing authority, but the CCWA did not. So over the course of the 26-year period where CCWA was doing a lot of the work, but the county remained the contracting entity, and that raised a number of procedural issues and some procedural obstacles. So in 2015, there was an amendment to the government code which clarified that a JPA, which is what the CCWA is, has the authority to levy property taxes commensurate with the authority of its members. At that point, the Department of Water Resources said, okay, we will consent to this contractual assignment, which would then get the county out of the picture and would result in an assignment of all the contractual obligations to CCWA. So the reason why this is advantageous is that it takes the county out as the middleman in the decision-making process. And it gives the members of the CCWA, including Buellton, more direct say and control in decisions regarding water. Right now, county must approve certain contractual issues, and so that can pose obstacles when it comes to trying to make quick and efficient decisions. So with that, what the CCWA has proposed is that we approve an amendment to the JPA, which is what all of the parties that are part of that contract would agree to, as well as an amendment to our individual water supply agreement, the agreement between Buellton and the CCWA, which is dated August of 1991. So what the resolution does is it approves those two actions, finds that this action is exempt under CEQA, and with that, I would then pass these on. All the other member agencies are going to be taking this up in the next 2 weeks, so that by middle of October, it's anticipated that all of the members of the CCWA will have their approvals in, and then the CCWA will take this to the state and complete that contractual assignment. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I have one question. Prior to this, under this clause here where it says CCWA's power to levy tax or assessments sufficient to provide for all payments under state water contract. The county was doing that anyways, right? That was under their purview, correct?
Yeah, and there's never been a default, so the issue's never come up, as far as I'm told, in the 26 years that we've had the CCWA. There are a number of safety mechanisms built into the existing contract which would remain, which won't be affected by what we're doing, that are designed to kick in when there would be a default that would prevent us from having to go to the step of levying property taxes. So really what this does is kind of gets the county out, as I said, removes them from the decision-making process. Doesn't really add any risk to our existing relationship.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Another question, ma'am.
Any motions?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 1718 submitted by staff.
Second.
Linda?
Okay, Vice Mayor Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Mercado.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. Moving on to our city manager's report. Mr. Brzezinski.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The final hazard mitigation plan has been approved by FEMA for all the jurisdictions in the county, which is a good thing, because if you don't have one of those, you cannot apply for disaster grants or the grant that I applied for the emergency generator, which I submitted late last week. So we have the approved plan, so we're all on board with FEMA, and that's good for 5 years. So that's a good thing. We're getting a new CERT class. I'm going to check on the dates, but we're getting a new CERT class in October that Richard Abrams will be putting on. It'll be a 2-day one instead of a 8-week period on a Saturday morning. So we'll see if we can adjust the dates to accommodate. The mayor will not be here for one of those.
That one day. Everything's going on that one day.
In the site where the old gas station was at 518 Avenue of Flags, we did get the application in from Mr. Cameron and for his project, so that'll be reviewed. The 246 project is almost done. There's some striping has gone in, and what else is left, Rose?
There's still, I think, a few more of the yellow.
The handicap
markings.
bumps at the
There's a few of those that still need to be repaired, and I think there's some miscellaneous other punch list items that they have as well. But their date for completion is still beginning of October.
Yeah.
And I saw that the pedestrian lights are going to be going back up too.
Yes, that'll be going up as well.
Thank you.
Rose, ask Rose a question on the. I guess they were burning, or they were melting down something today, and someone asked me why were they taking up new paving, and I said I think they have the sensors that maybe didn't get.
No,
I'm
those
not
weren't
quite sure.
sensor areas. We're not exactly sure. They have their own specific guidelines as far as requirements for the road pavement. There likely was some other issues with those segments, and they had to do repairs. But
I'd say it's very smooth, right?
That's nice.
Yes, it is a lot better than what we had
And as
previously.
is the improvement all the way to Lombo, then up to the roundabout. The Domingo,
Well, this
all of that paving is very nice. I mean, it's a nice
Yes.
ride now from Buellton to Lompo.
And just want to apologize to the mayor for not getting her article in the Buellton Buzz. That was my fault. We had some coordination issues, so it's not in there. It's not because the mayor did not get it to us. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you very much. Alrighty.
Last item is a closed session. Conference with legal counsel on anticipated litigation under Government Code Section 54956.9 D4. Just one case.
Thank you. Give it.